Hello everyone, how are we all doing? Here again with another video. Something just a bit more trivial today. I've seen a lot of fans of clubs going around, and it's that time of year when everyone starts to look at this sort of thing. So yeah, I thought, you know what, I'm not special, I'll jump on the bandwagon. It's a bit of content and let's give it a crack. I've just noticed how, God, this shirt's in awful condition, but it's better than wearing the same one day in, day out, I guess. So yeah, I'm just going down just the squad, giving a quick opinion. I don't want to talk for 20 minutes about everyone. I think we've pretty much covered this, some of the players in the previous games, the Rotherham game I believe it was. Well, just take a quick look down and get your guys' thoughts, what you keep, and maybe there's other suggestions other than keep and sell. Maybe there's a few other ideas. For those of you that don't know, I'm just going down transfermarket.co.uk. It's all on there if you guys wanted to give it a crack. So, we'll start off at the top. As I said, I'm not going to spend 20 minutes talking about every player. We'll start off at the keepers. Neil Etheridge and John Ruddy. Both of them have their contracts up in June 30th. That's a lot of the contracts end June 30th, 2024. So, you can imagine around about now, the talks are already probably taking place. Again, a lot of this is going to be about what fits the style of the manager. Someone said yesterday that Tony Mowbray's in his last 2 weeks of recovery or treatment, so I don't know how much input he's having on who's staying and who's going. But if you'd ask me, he's probably going to want a sweeper keeper, someone that's okay playing out from the back, ball at their feet. So Neil Etheridge and John Ruddy, neither of them offer that. Now, I think I think it's quite possible we're going to buy a keeper over the summer. I think Neil Etheridge can go. I appreciate the service and everything he's done for the club. I didn't mind him as much as a lot of fans seem to. I didn't think there was that much of a difference. So yeah, probably sell Etheridge, thank you. John Ruddy. Now John Ruddy's an interesting one because I like John Ruddy's character as well as his goalkeeping ability. I think he's a decent keeper. I saw that he's won Keeper of the Season for the EFL. I was surprised at that. I was surprised. I thought they were going to give it to Victor Johansson, personally, the Rotherham keeper. And although I know the amount of goals they have conceded, he's actually a phenomenal keeper. And I can see him being bought by probably a lower league, Premier League club. I'd love to go and get him, but I believe someone said he's a Villa fan, so I'm not really sure about that. Bradley Mayo, haven't seen much of him. Again, he's got his contract up in June 30th. Haven't seen much of him to comment, so I can't really give an answer on that, so I'm just going to skip that one. Dion Sanderson, contract up June 30th, 2027. I've actually seen he's been linked with... Hold on. Yeah, so I've actually seen he's been linked with Sunderland. I don't know if you've seen this. There's a slight rumour circulating between Sunderland about purchasing Sanderson and Bacuna. Obviously, it's always just rumours. I'm not overly blown away with Sanderson, if I'm honest. For me, he does things that make me uncomfortable on the ball. One thing I have noticed this season, we barely scored any goals from our centre-backs, and that used to be our thing, do you know what I mean? When we'd send Mark Roberts and Harley Dean up. That kind of used to be a thing, and we haven't really had that this season. We've missed out. You know, them goals do save you over the course of a season, even if your centre-backs get 5 combined. It helps, and we haven't had that this season. So if we was to sell Sanderson, I wouldn't be heartbroken. But if Tony Mowbray believes he can get the best out of him, then I'm all for that as well. In terms of his captaincy, I would quite prefer John Ruddy to be captain, or someone a bit more older than Sanderson that has a bit more demand and presence. I wouldn't be against that. I think I'd like that. Emmanuel Ivory is obviously going back on loan. I can actually see potential in Ivory, and I know everyone seems to have made up their mind. I can actually see potential in him. But I think the guy's more interested in being a model than being a centre-back. And that's not me slagging him off, you know. He's a good-looking dude. He really, really is. But I think he's more concerned about getting a job with Gucci than he is the Blues. I wouldn't be, if we can get him for cheap, I actually wouldn't be against it, especially not in League One. But he's probably going to go back to Cremonese and do whatever there. I can't see him staying. So yeah, I'd send him back. I'll send him back. You just don't seem that interested. Mark Roberts. Now this is going to be a tricky one because this season, I'm not going to lie, the whole time Roberts has been at the club, I have labelled him, and I'm going to say it, as one of the worst defenders I've ever seen. I know that sounds harsh, but this season, I think he's been really good. I think he's been one of our strongest centre-backs. And that's not me slagging him off. I don't want you to... Of course it's me slagging him off. There's no other way of dressing it up. I wasn't a fan, I didn't like him, I'm just being honest. I think this season we've seen a new side to him. And if he can guarantee us that in League One, I'd probably... I don't know. He's already kind of said he's leaving. His missus put the cryptic message out that he's leaving. If they did offer him a year contract, I'd just be like, it's one of them, whatever. I'd hope we're getting some younger ones in, some prospects in. But if he's guaranteed to play like he did this season, then if you want to give him a year contract, a year extension, then it's kind of like, alright, fine. Lee Buchanan. Now, we kind of hold all the cards when it comes to Lee Buchanan because he doesn't leave till 2028. So regardless of whether he wants to stay in League One or go, we do kind of hold the cards. And I can see Lee Buchanan as possibly a future captain one day. I am 10 out of 10. I love Buchanan. He, for me, is the unsung hero of the Birmingham City squad. Throughout the course of this season, I don't feel like he's got the appreciation and respect he deserved. He's made some major, and he's not perfect. I don't expect anyone to be perfect, but for me, he's been our most consistent. Him and Joe Stansfield, for me, have been the most consistent players. And you know who else I'd put in there? And it's going to cause a bit of disagreement. Cody Drame. You know what's more impressive about Cody Drame? He's on loan. And I'd never feel like you get 100% with loan players. You know, it's very rare that you get that. I feel like he gives 100%. And again, he's made mistakes, but I'm okay with him making mistakes if he shows up 9 out of 10 times. Because no one's perfect, do you know what I mean? The best centre-backs in the world make some absolute stinkers. So, Buchanan, for me, I'd love him to stay in League One. Future captain for me, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. It's not like Borat. Very nice. Longelo. I think Longelo would... I was going to say he'd benefit from a loan, but we're already in League One now. Longelo's a tough one. You know what? At the start of the season, when he's playing quite regularly, the one thing you can't knock is his work rate. And work rate is the pillar that everything else is built on for me. So you know what? I'm quite surprised with this. I'm going to keep... I'd keep him, give him the chance. I feel like Tony Mowbray could possibly get the best out of him. His quality needs some serious work, in my opinion. But his work rate, his passion and desire are there, and that's enough for me. That's one thing. That's the first thing I moan about when it's not there. So the fact that he's got that, I'd keep him. Ethan Laird, as I said, no one can doubt Ethan Laird's quality. That's undeniable. We can see the quality. There has been a drop off, and I think he'd be the first to admit that he hasn't been playing at the level that he would want. I believe. Obviously, I want to keep him at the club. Obviously, I want to keep him. His contract's up June 30th, 2026. So again, we might be able to retain him. I feel like I'm assuming a lot here. I think he'd want to stay. I think he knows there's a project going on. He strikes me as a believer. He's a voice in the changing room. I really want to keep him. I'd love to meet him as well. It seems like I'd love to go out on a night out with him for sure. But yeah, I'd keep him 100%. Our fullbacks are my favourite. Is our strongest position for me. Williams, for me, Josh Williams, his contract up is in 2026. Williams, for me, is our weakest fullback. And, you know, that's probably not a problem because he gets the least game time. So that's probably why. Now, the question is, does he get the least game time because he's the weakest? Or is he the weakest because he gets the least game time? I don't know what the answer to that is. I think we kind of have to... Well, he's a youth player, do you know what I mean? He's from our academy, and that counts for something. I personally don't think he has the quality for Birmingham City. That's just me, but I hope he goes on and proves me wrong, so I'd sell him and move him on if that was a possibility. And if we could get decent money. If we're giving away for nothing, then you may as well just keep him because he's going to be on low wages, isn't he? Well, relatively, for a footballer, because he's from the academy. Marcel Oakley, I don't feel like we ever see this guy. I know whenever he does play, he's with like Williams, and I don't feel like I've seen enough of him to like make a fair judgment. Him and Williams, to be fair, I haven't seen either of them since the start of the season, so I'm basing a lot of what was happening back then. They've probably come on a long way by then, but I simply don't see enough of them. And that's because our fullbacks are so strong in their positions. How are you supposed to get in? So maybe they both would benefit from a loan move or even a transfer. So yeah, I don't want to just say sell him and seem like I don't like the guy when I just haven't seen enough of him. So I'd probably send him out on loan if he's not quite got the quality yet. Drop him down to League 2. Maybe he can do something there. I don't know. It's one of them. Christian Bielik. Now this is a funny one. Because if we're talking about Christian Bielik in the midfield, it's a sell. But if we're talking about him at centre-back, he's a guaranteed starter, possibly club captain, possibly first name on the team sheet. So it's a weird one for me. I was not a fan of Bielik in that lone centre-mid role. When he was doing the double pivot with Sunjic, it kind of worked. That's the Eustace formation. He got the best out of him for sure. But I was very much a fan of centre-back Tony Mowbray Bielik. They're like Pokemon now. We've had so many managers. They've all got these different evolutions and different forms. It's like building an ultimate team. So centre-back Christian Bielik, he's in there for me. Him and Mark Roberts, maybe. I don't know who I prefer, Mark Roberts or Sanderson. I have issues with both, and they both have strengths and weaknesses, I guess. But if I had to pick a centre-back partnership, it would probably be Bielik and Roberts. Bielik and Sanderson, one of them. But Bielik for sure. So I keep him. There seems to be this belief that he doesn't want to play League One. You know, he jumped out of the game when he got relegated with Derby, as did Buchanan. So they may not want to play League One football. You guys know how I feel about that. If you get relegated, you're a League One player. That's how it works in my head. And you have to be a standout in order for that not to work. You need to be a Jay Stansfield or something for me to go, yeah, you're too good for League One. So yeah, 100% keep. Sunjic seems to be a sentimental point of the club because club's highest ever transfer, I believe it was £6 million. £6 million. Has he justified that price tag? No, definitely not. He's not worth £6 million. Do I like him? I've always liked him, even before the loan move. I understood what type of player he was. I never expected him to be a peeler. You know, I never expected him to be someone super quality in the ball. He's a workhorse and he's a defensive midfielder. And as soon as he gets the ball, he should make the easiest possible pass and carry on. That's what Sunjic does for me. Look, I imagine he's on big wages. If we can drop them wages down and keep him, I'd keep him. If we can cash in on him and get a decent bit of money, then I'd move him on. It's a tough one, Sunjic, because he will play really well in League One. He'll be in his element down there. So if we can drop his wages a bit, maybe. His wage is a problem. You know, I've spent the past few videos saying how much we're going to be fine with wages and everything. So his wages may not even be a problem. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say, keep him. And another reason for that is you don't want to rip out the heart of the team. You don't want 18 new players coming in. You want people in the dressing room that have an affiliation with the club. You know, that have a few years and I get we're trying to, in a transitional period, I get that. But you can't transition too fast. We tried it last season. you need to have some core values and work out the old guard over a course of a few seasons. Not just rip everyone out and replace them with a bunch of new lads. It's just not going to work. So, and I feel like Christian Bielik, Sunjic, Ruddy, Jutkiewicz, these players, that they're going to have that in the dressing room when the newer players arrive to install. The fans will get behind us. This is how things work at this club. There's a change going on. This is how that's going to work. You need that in there, and I think Sunjic could be a voice for that. And I personally wouldn't want to fight Sunjic. He seems a bit tapped, and I like that about him. Jordan James. This is where I turn into the villain for the video, because I know how a lot of fans feel about Jordan James, and you've got to understand, I'm not slagging off the players, I'm just giving an honest opinion of them. Ideally, I want every player to play well. I want everyone to be world class. I don't want any of them to be bad. I don't smile when they're poor. So when it comes to Jordan James, I just haven't seen it, if I'm honest. I get he scored goals on the Rooney, and he scored crucial goals on the Rooney and important goals, and I thank him infinitely for that. But when other clubs were coming in for him in January, and I was hearing talks if they want 25 million, I just don't know where these figures are coming from. I don't really understand where the interest is coming from. What was it? Was it Lazio? Napoli? It was an Italian team. And I gotta be honest, I don't know why I'm whispering. I just didn't know where that interest come from, because he does score goals, but he's not got stupid amounts of quality. I don't feel, or I haven't seen. Maybe they're obviously experts. They see more than what I do. I'm just a fan. I'm just a fan with a camera. I haven't seen it personally. And the past few games where we've really needed players to step up, bearing in mind this dude's a Blues fan. This guy's a Blues fan. We're fighting for our lives, and you get subbed off. You should be one of the players we're looking to that run for 90 minutes. It seems to me that Sunjic cares more than James does. That Stansfield cares more than James does. That Ruddy cares more than James does. That's the feeling I got. And I don't know if that's true, but for me, how you feel reflects your performance on the pitch. Even if the quality isn't there, as fans, we know. We know when you care. We know when Sunjic, he cried when he scored. Sunjic cried when he scored a goal against Coventry. That's care. That's passion. I haven't seen that from James, if I'm honest. When he plays well, it's like, yeah. And when he plays bad, he walks off the pitch. He's like, I don't see it, if I'm honest. I don't see him fuming at players on the pitch. And I get, if you ask him where he plays, he's a CDM. So his argument's going to be, why do I keep getting put on the left wing? Why do I keep getting put at Cam? That's what he'd say, I believe. The rebuttal to that would be, you'll play where you played. You're not the gaffer. Do you know what I mean? I get where you want to play, but this is where we need you to play. And then, surely as a player, you think, well, I'm a fan of the club, so I'll do what I can. I'll give everything. I don't think he ever done that. And maybe that's because in his head, he's in the departure lounge and he's got somewhere lined up. But I really, really, really want James to do well when he plays for Blues. I think it almost feels like I want him to play well better than he wants him to play well. So my final answer is, if we can get a decent bit of dollar for James, I'd let him go. Because it's all right saying he'll come good. For me, the past couple of weeks, we needed him to come good. When we was at Hello, we needed him. And he didn't come through for us, in my opinion. That tells me what I need to know. So if someone comes in and says, I'll give you 5 million, because that's what I think he's worth. If 5 million and above, I'd let him go, man. And I'd spend that money. 5 million can get you a lot in League One. Do you know what I mean? We're talking hundreds of thousands for some players. You could kit a team for 5 million League One. So let me know how you guys feel about that. I know there's going to be a point of controversy. Juninho Bacuna. Oh my God, me and my dad have had fights about this guy. Me and my dad have had some bust-ups about this guy. So, my dad sits on the side of, get out of my club, you lazy. That's where my dad lines up. Sorry, that is a family-friendly channel. I'll block that out. I sit on the side of this guy's cool as hell. This guy's sick when it works. I always say, if you see Bacuna out in the street and you didn't know him, you'd think, he looks like a footballer. Do you know what I mean? He looks like a footballer. And when he comes on, he does some stuff and I'm thinking, oh my God, this guy knows what he's doing. And then sometimes, trampoline foot. Just like the simplest pass, nothing. And then the next game, he'll roulette someone, flip-flap another person and play a worldie. And you don't know what you're going to get. And I think Tony Mowbray said, the guy's mad as a hatter. Positive reinforcement works. You need to tell him he's brilliant and he'll go out there and like, look, I am brilliant. So, you're going to hate me. I'd keep him. And if you can tell me absolutely everything and tell me how wrong and how much of an idiot I am, I get it. But I want him. I like him. I don't know why. I'm sorry. But again, you might pick up a fair bit of bob for him. And I can definitely see, if you picked up 3 million for him, you could definitely convince me that you can pick up someone better for 3 million than him. But I've just got this affinity for him. When he scored against the Baggies, he ran up, he was giving it large, I love that, man. I love that. When he scores, he's like, look, I told you, man, I'm good, I told you. And I love that for him. There's passion when it works, but I just need to see. My dad always says he plays like this. He plays with his head down, and if he just come out there and he was like, he's marking, he's having a look, he's using his vision, he's scanning. Imagine the player he could be if he wanted to be that player. I think he's happy being a big fish in a small pond. I think that's the core of the issue with him. God, man, I'm getting so animated in this video. I don't know what it is, man. You know when you talk about the Blues and you think, I love this club, and all I'm talking about is selling players. You don't know how I feel. George Hall. I feel for the guy, because I can't even give a good account of how good I think he is because he's always injured. And then when I do see him play, he's just coming back from an injury, so you can't really judge him on that. I like him on FIFA. Does that work? Look, I'm keeping George Hall. He's one of our own. I want the geese to go up there and be a world beater. I want him to, to go defeat the world. And hopefully League One will give him that chance to come through, as with some of the other lads, a bit, your Rooney Donovans, your Dixons, your Brandon Kaylors. Just all come out the woodwork and be like, oh, imagine having 5 academy players in the first 11. And then from elsewhere, you had a bit of quality coming in. Jay Stansfield, I always got the impression that he loved playing for the Blues. And not necessarily for the Blues. But he's probably, look at how cool the young squad is. There's geezers in there, do you know what I mean? Nice lads they can go out on the piss with and just have a good... And that helps. And, I feel like it's a good environment. And I feel like if that starts to click on the pitch and off the pitch, we can become a bit of a Crystal Palace. And I know that's a weird, but when you look at them, it's young lads. It looks like a nice place to play, especially if it's all working on the pitch. I can see us fitting into that kind of environment. And I know a lot of the stuff I'm saying isn't tangible, but it's things you have to consider as probably a young player. Dazal, I don't think we're going to keep Dazal. I would have wanted to. A few months ago, if you would have asked me, I thought QPR are going to go down, we'll stay up and we'll buy him. That's not going to work now. I can't see us buying him off QPR. Although when we did bring him in, the QPR fans seemed quite happy to get rid of him. Tony Mowbray loves him, so maybe he'll play a part. If we can keep him, I'd have it. What the fuck? What's going on there? If we can keep him, then beautiful. I'd definitely keep him. Look, May 31st, he runs out. That's Dazal. Oh, George Hall, we've got until 2026, by the way. Bacuna 2025. Jordan James 2025. So we do hold. We've still got a year on all of them boys, by the way. I forgot to tell you that. Who's next? Paix and Co. When you see it with a player. I know he knows what he's doing. And we know he knows what he's doing. And he knows that we know that he knows. No, I'm joking. But I don't think we're going to keep him. There's that whole thing, you don't want to play League One football. He's going to want to be in the international team. For me, you're not international level. And that's in the nicest way possible. South Korea are a decent team. Japan are a decent team when we talk about Miyoshi. Someone mentioned, can we send him out on loan? And while that is a good idea, send him out on loan to a bigger club, he still gets his thing, and when we come back up, providing we come back up in the first season, he comes and joins us and we carry on as normal. But that don't sit right with me. Do you know, and you know what I mean? We go down to League One, everyone has to take accountability. You didn't do enough to avoid going down to League One. You get to skip that punishment and come back when the getting's good. That doesn't sit right with me. I don't like that. You've got to firms it for me. You've got to firms it and just be like, League One. I get it's a selfish game and you've got to do what's best for you. If he doesn't want to stay, sell him. And that's what it all comes down to. Like, if you don't want to stay, then go. No one's going to force you to stay. I don't want players that don't want to be there. I want players that want to play for the Bloods, that love the Blues, that respect us. Don't come out on a Saturday and mug me off. Do you know what I mean? I work all week. I graft all week, and the one thing I have that I do that is mine is I get to go to Blues and watch his play. So don't come out on a Saturday at 3 o'clock and mug me off because you don't want to be there. I ain't got time for that. So if you want to go, sell him. I'm against the loan thing. If you don't want to be here, just go. Alfie Changi's one of our own. Again, a lot of injuries. Haven't really seen too much of him. He's an academy. I'd always edge on the side of keeping your academy players because they care. They care for the club. Well, I've just said Jordan James didn't. They're supposed to care. And I think there's an air of like, we want to see our own boys do well. Do you know what I mean? So I'm keeping him. Gary Gardner. In the nicest way possible and all due respect, because I know what an ambassador he is for the club. I don't think you have the quality to play for Birmingham City, and that is my personal opinion. All due respect, I don't think you have the quality to play for Birmingham City. I would 100% keep you in the club in a coaching capacity or have a job in and around the club like your brother. But for me, it's thank you, but no thanks. And thank you for everything you've done in that beautiful free kick against West Brom. Love it. That's the new one on this channel, by the way. Here we got Koji Miyoshi. Yeah, I see. Exactly the same as Pakes & Co. Exactly the same. If you want to stay, we'd love it. If you want to go out and learn, just go. Just go for good. I ain't got time for people just looking to sponge off the club. And you've done a lot this season for us, so I would love you to stay. And I actually really, really like you as a player. I really do. But if you're not willing to play in League One for us, if you can't have me at my League One, you can't have me at my Championship. There you go. I've messed that up somewhere, but you get what I mean. Keshian. Oh wait, we've skipped one here. Oh, Gary Gardner's up at June 30th, by the way. So that's just a matter of extending his contract. Miyoshi is 2025 again, so we've got another year on him. Alex Pritchard. That is like, if anticlimactic was a player, it'd be Pritchard for me. When I heard we were getting Pritchard, I was like, how have we gone and done that? How have we done that? Pritchard's a player? Do you know what I mean? I looked, he batters it for Sunderland. And then when he come, it was just, he's a biscuit. He's half man, half biscuit. He just crumbles as soon as someone touches him, or a gust of wind, he does the chicken dance. Obviously, he got the assist in the whole game for Juki. And that's it. That's the only notable thing for me. Of course, he come for Tony Mowbray and never really played under Tony Mowbray. When we've got him till June 30th, 2026. If we're going to have Tony Mowbray back, I'd keep him. Because you can imagine, if he's as good as I thought he was and we thought he was, he'd kill it in the League One. He'd tear it up. So we'll keep him for that reason. You know what? It's one of them where I haven't really got an affinity towards him because I feel like I don't know the guy as a player. I feel like I ain't seen enough, and when you come on, it's in weird circumstances. I feel like I don't know him as a player. Keshi Anderson, June 30th, 2024, here you go, so he's up in a bit. I'd extend Keshi Anderson, I like him. I really like him. Even when people didn't like him, I liked him. I'm cool and I'm an individual, that's why. I like him. I can see his quality. You know what I like? This means a lot to me as a player. You know when after a loss or a win, they speak well on camera. They give concise answers and explain things. It tells me a lot about a person. Because one, it tells me you care because you've come out and you're actually bothered to actually put on a good interview. Two, it tells me you're probably a voice in the changing room. If you come out and speak well, you're probably a voice in the changing room. And for me, I've noticed he's not good off the bench. That's the only criticism I have of him. I've noticed he's not great on the bench, and sometimes his quality is a bit lacking. But I really like him. I'd keep him. I'd give him a 2-year extension or whatever. I'm a fan. And also, do you remember back at the start of the season when we had a lot of injuries? I think Dembele was out and a lot of the other ones are out. And he was the only attacking threat in like the Watford game, the Millwall game. He went out there and tried, man. He ran his legs off. And fans remember that. So at the time when we were struggling a little bit, you stepped up and really helped us out there, and that's not forgotten. Shrieky Dembele, man, you see this guy? I just don't get it. This dude was Neymar when he got here, and that's not really an exaggeration. When he first come, this dude, his goal against Swansea, that was his first goal, step overs. He tried a rainbow flick in the whole game, for God's sake. I feel like on his day, I would hate to be a fullback. And, he tore it up in League One last time he was there. But also, he's directly to blame for one of the goals we conceded against Ipswich, where he didn't track back and he was just like, well, whatever. If Tony Mowbray can get the best out of him, I'd 100% keep him. 100% keep him. But again, a lack of trying and a lack of effort is prevalent in his game. And that's one thing that really knocks me, man. I'd sacrifice a bit of quality for a bit of try. Do you know what I mean? Sheffield Wednesday didn't have no quality, if you ask me, but they had a lot of try, and look what he got them. That's so. If you want to stay, I would love him. If not, sell him. Move him on. He's not up till 2026, so again, we can get a bit of dollar for him. And I imagine some people would play. Ollie Burke, I'm not going to lie, mate, you absolutely disgust me. I don't know how, I feel like you want a raffle to be a football player. I respect the players as much as I feel like their performances respect us. This guy's come to this club and he's mugged us off. And not one goal, not one assist. I don't think I've ever seen him beat a man. He's never took a touch. He can't pass the ball. He can't do nothing. You guy thinks he's a model. I'm sorry, but I can't stand him. Moving on. Rooney Donovan. Oh my God, Overberg's worth 2 million apparently, but his contract's up in June. You know what? Me and my mates, I'd be happy to have a whip round and just pay him out. Rooney Donovan. I like this dude, Rooney Donovan's the guy. He reminds me of Dappy for some reason on his Instagram. But yeah, man, all day keep Rooney Donovan. He tries. You probably need to feed him some food because he needs to build his frame up a little bit. But I'm a big fan of that guy. Comes home, tries, passionate, quality. He's got everything you want from an academy player. 100% keep. Offer him an extension, give him some decent wages, man, so we can get some better clobber. If you're watching this remote, you need to sort them trousers out, man. I've seen your Instagram. Jay Stansfield. See, this is where I get emotional. I would pay, if I was a millionaire, I'd donate it to the club to buy him. I'd love him to stay. We're never going to keep him. Even if we stayed in the Championship, I don't think we'd be able to keep him. I think we would have been in a significantly better position. And can't see it, unfortunately. Oh, I'd love it, man. I'd love it. Thank you for everything you've done. He mopped up all the player awards and so good. You deserve it, mate. You deserve everything that you get in the future as well. You will always have a place here at Birmingham City. And he'll be one of the players that I wherever he goes, I'll watch their games just to keep an eye on him and just to hope he's doing well. He'll forever hold a place in my heart. Long live Jay Stansfield. Tyler Roberts. Bit of a shaky one. Let's just assume his season started when he come back from injury. It was a kind of much ado about nothing for the first few games. Couldn't really get a grasp on the game, and you know, it's just working off the rust, and you can't really blame him for that. Working off the rust. Coventry game, he looked like Kaka in the Coventry game. He was like everything you'd want from a can. I'd keep him. I think he'll do really well in League One. I think he'll grow with the team. I feel like Tony Mowbray could get the best out of him. We've got him till 2027 anyway. Worth 2.8 million apparently. Yeah, I'd keep him. Yeah, 100%. I understand the criticisms that people launch at him. Is it deserved? I don't think so. It's whatever in it. Scott Hogan, it's thanks but no thanks, mate. Pre-COVID, he was really good. Well, he was good. You know, he scored. He done his job. And then after COVID, other than the hat trick at West Brom, which is incredible and I still don't quite understand it, it's definitely a no from me. His contract's up, so just don't renew the contract. Not for me. But thank you for the goals that you have scored. Jutkiewicz, build the statue. Build the statue. Whether you want to build it at the new ground or the old ground. St Andrews at United Park, the old ground. Just build the statue, man. I'd give him a contract as a player coach, and then after that's up, I'd give him a coaching position at the club, and then after that's up, I'd make him sporting director, and then after that, I'd make him prime minister. That's the trajectory that Juki's career is on. From, if you ask me. No, I don't. You know what, guys? I just love you, man. I feel like he's an ambassador for the club. I feel like that's what he is. He's a voice in the dressing room, an ambassador for the club. He come on injured to try and get us a goal. He does what he can. You know, and other than scoring that goal for Bolton against us, I've got nothing against it. He's 35. That is quite... He's pushing on, isn't he? Give him a year, play a coach, in and around the dressing room, and then after that, a coach. That's it for me. And I feel, you know what, I don't feel like my decisions have been that out there in this video, and I feel like a lot of people agree with what I've said. Yeah, tell me what you guys think. I think I've given a good accounting of all the players. I tried not to spend too long on them. Let me know what you guys think. In terms of who I want to bring in, that's a question that stumps me, and don't expect a video about that for quite a while, because I have no idea how that's going to work now. I understand there's money to spend. How much does being in League One affect that? Who can we draw? Do you take the best players from League 1 and 2? Do you take some average players from the Championship? Do you get a prospect, a young guy from a loan from a Prem club? I just don't know where you start. I would probably edge on the side of looking at the teams that didn't get promoted from League 1 last season, the season just gone. Price them up, because they know the game. They obviously were successful in relatively poor teams. Maybe have a look at them. Do you have a look at, like, who's the top scorer in League 2? Let's get him. Do you go through that way of thinking, where you look at the teams that are going to be your biggest competition and buy their players? Or do you try drag a guy that's pretty average in the one above down and see if you can get the best out of him? Do you rely heavily on your academy players? There's so many factors and variables now that, you know, the guy that does the recruitment, Kieran Gardner, you've got a big job in your hands, mate. I would possibly have a look at getting some new recruitment guys in. That's one thing I would say, because we bought a lot of players that were injury prone last season. So have a look at getting some recruitment guys in that, you know, have an ear for the streets in League 1. But just good recruitment in general. I'd look at who do Brighton use to recruit. You know, these teams that seem to get players for really cheap and sell them on high. Who did Dortmund get to recruit? And I know we're not expecting to lure them away, but that would be a prioritisation for me. Building a recruitment team that can operate all the way up to the Prem. That's all I've got to say, because I need a piss. So, Thanks for joining us, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think. Give me your thoughts. Did you enjoy the video? Who do you agree with? Who do you not agree with? I'm sorry if I was too harsh on some of the players. I don't feel like I was. I feel like I was fair. But take it easy, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.